Lesson 7. What are loops in computer programming? Lesson 7 mo ni ba behwe bibia e fa ni loops. Any kwan a e fa so using loops in computer programming. This is a case of loops kra. What is a loop? Loops, and as a loop kra e dey. We do things repeatedly almost every day. And the hour you are sitting on it to me perform some activities before some number of times until a result is obtained. The young example way now you explain what a loop is. The young fan is a mommy calls you and then tells you to fetch 5 buckets of water. And the mommy frail. The mommy can say, oh, fetch 5 buckets of water. So in this, said we will repeat the same activity until we finish fetching the 5 buckets of water. We will perform the same activity of fetching water. First round, second round, third round, fourth, fifth, and sana. Yeah. Before say you will go to the pipe. The offer bucket now, then you bring it back. Then you go back to the pipe, fetch again, and then come back. The Bible said anytime we fetch water, we count and keep counting until we reach 5. Question and say, do we still continue after we reach 5? No. That is the end. Because mommy said we should fetch 5 buckets of water. And she said, you consume 5 buckets of water, we are done. That is the end. And she said, in fetching the water, we perform the same activities until we finish fetching the water. And you said you repeat an activity for some number of times, that is what is termed as a loop. So repeating an activity for some number of times is what is termed as a loop. And you can say loop and one iteration, and now I say repetition. So loop is also known as iteration or repetition. This obica iteration is the same thing as loop. So obisuka repetition and also the same thing as iteration, and I say loop. Same way you repeating some activities before some number of time until a condition and also a result is obtained. The same way and in computer programming, we can instruct the computer to repeat some tasks until a condition is met. You need to instruct the computer and say, decide way for this number of times. This argument for that particular number of times, if we are, then it will stop. We have what is called types of loops. You're grouping loops into 3. We have while loop. We have for loop. The do while loop. These are the 3 main types of loops you work in computer programming. While loop, for loop, and then do while loop. A brand and as a coin so you first you see these 3 main types of loops. The above the share choir any bra you see while loop. Choir you first you see for loop, and the choir you first you see do while loop. The answer is how and when we use these three main types of loops. You share parts of a loop. A loop has parts. You share these parts of a loop. Here you see fetching water scenario. You didn't carry addition as. There was a mommy calls and say fetch water. It is a mommy air na washa say yensa nsuo no. E betimi atermino as what? Initialization. And now you bring condition. The moment I say we should fetch water 5 buckets. Your condition is while the bucket of water fetched is not up to 5. The abra ensure yes an end do 5 or no. We will continue to perform the fetching water activity. There were activities. So activities we performed to fetch the water. As long as the condition remains true, and I say as long as you see I end do 5 or no, you may also performing the same activities. And you don't say we counted each time we finished fetching a bucket of water. You come back you can 1. You come back the back can 2. You come back near the back can 3. We were incrementing or decrementing the number of times we fetch the water. So we counted each time we completed fetching a bucket of water. Because these 4 things are also needed when constructing a loop in programming, and they form what is known as parts of a loop. A loop basically has 4 main parts. The loop has 4 main parts. The first part is declaration and initialization of a counter, and as a start of counter. The initialization of a counter. But also mean your condition as the next part of a loop. It also means activities and then instructions to run as long as the condition is true. And the last one as incrementing or decrementing, and as increasing or decreasing counter. It is a for loop. These are the 4 main parts of a loop: declaration and initialization of a counter, condition, activities, and as instructions to run when the condition is true. Then anytime I will say you increment and as you decrement and as you increase and as you decrease counter. See, these are the 4 main parts of a loop. The 4 main parts of a loop. Now let's share how and when we use the 3 types of loops. See, the while loop. While loop repeat some set of instructions whilst the condition remains true. So you use while loop. If we don't know the number of times we want to perform an activity, but we want to perform the activity as long as the condition is true. You see while loop, the number of times a person running some instructions be, but a person running those instructions as long as the condition is true. Game I will say game continue running as long as the user has not quit playing the game. Game no ever stop it, and I say loop no ever stop it when the user quits playing the game. So any time the user no ever quit from playing the game. The general format of while loop. Why refers to a constructed while loop in computer programming. The kind your keyword, then variable name aba, and then the value you betu. And when I use initialization of counter. To the kind, I will say you initialize the counter. The initialization of counter no, the same as you are sure that the same as you declare a variable near the value to set variable no. So that's initialization of counter. The keyword depending on programming language that we using and the better keyword that we be using. The keyword variable name then equal to value. You are now while keyword no aba. Then we get open bracket. Then the condition no bracket. Then we close the bracket. And then we open curly bracket. Then instructions are person you run as long as the condition remains true no, and also then at us so instructions to run. Then we have to increase or decrease the counter. They will increase or decrease the counter. And also about instructions now you run no assay because I will share arrangement in here. After instructions now you run no. I will say you increase it and I say you decrease it counter means I never assay. Then we end it with what? With the closing curly bracket. If counter is not updated, and as I say you increase it and as you decrease it counter, the loop will be infinite loop. The loop you know, so the loop will become what? Infinite. So you increase it and as you decrease it counter now. The yabashe. Quite refers to increase it and as you decrease the counter. The kind is the loop will become infinite loop if counter is not updated. This is the general format of while loop. Initialization of counter while keyword in ababa. Then we put the condition inside open bracket. Then we have the curly bracket open, instructions to run, increase or decrease the counter. Then we end it with the closing curly bracket. Keyword in order to let depending on the programming language that we use. Keyword in order to let a bit to var that is under JavaScript, a bit to int, a bit to double. The keyword in original programming language that we use ADD Juma. The answer while loop our JavaScript programming language. See the kind let I equal 0 to the initialization of the counter. The refers to declare variable near the value at variable. So we know how to declare and then put a value into a variable. We have that lesson over there. So let I equal 0. If we have one keyword in ababa, then our condition at so we have I less than 5. Then we have console.log fetch water. Then we end it. then I equal I plus 1. The say the value inside I near the 1 account. So here we are incrementing the counter. I the I near the 1 I. Then we assign it back into the same container I. So because if counter is not updated, the loop will be infinite loop. So always I say kai now you update your counter either decreasing or increasing, and I say either incrementing or decrementing. So let I equal 0 and then step 1. So we will interpret as a start from 0. Then we have while I is less than 5. Which keep going as long as I is less than 5. Then step 3 about print this message. In the message I am printing a console.log fetch water. Then step 4 add 1 to I each time. So we say beginning you have the 0 add to I. So while loop no error, then the condition will check I is 0. The 0 is less than 5. You say 0 is less than 5. The print statement ever run it. So you get fetch water. Then move it to the next line, step 4. Now you got I equal I, that is 0 plus 1. The 0 plus 1 ever 1. The I ever the 1. Then we come and check again. 1 less than 5, and you see true. Then console.log will run fetch water. Then we about updating the counter. The I equal 1 plus 1. Now I 2. Then we go back to the while keyword and the condition. We are going to check 2 is less than 5, and also a true. Then console.log I run fetch water. Now for your answer, I is equal to 2 plus 1. Never 3. 3 is less than 5. The console.log ever run fetch water beam. Then we come and update it. I plus 1. The 3 plus 1. Never 4. Then 4 is less than 5. The console.log ever run beam fetch water. Then I plus 1, that's 4 plus 1, ever 5. Then we go and check 5 less than 5. It means that 5 is not less than 5. The loop will stop. The only say Betty counter now, our loop will be infinite. So int I equals 0 while I is less than 5. System.out.println fetch water. The Java programming language, we use this one to print to the screen. System.out.println. To when you use it, print it to the screen. Then we have updating our counter. To the same thing. Step 1 starts from 0. Step 2 keep going as long as I is less than 5. Then step 3 print this message. Then I equal I plus 1. Step 4 we add 1 to I each time. To beginning I is 0. So I less than 5 is 2. Then we update the counter I add 1. Then we update the counter again I add 2. Then we update the counter again, I becomes 3. Now also update counter, and then we have I4. Then you update the I as 5. You say 5 is not less than 5. The condition will be false. Then we break out of the loop. And as a loop, no. ebe stop it. The fetch printing to the screen how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your Python programming language muso. When I equal 5, in the you initialize I as 5. The check condition while I is greater than 0. While I is greater than 0. Print fetch water. The Python, you use Python and you see colon, any indentation instead of curly brackets. In Python and you see colon, any indentation, and they represent a block of what? Of code. Into na how you curly brackets, no ewa. Then we update the count and the I equal I minus 1. So here we are not incrementing, but we are rather decrementing. So start from 5, keep going as long as I is greater than 0. Print this message. Subtract 1 from I each time. So those are started from 5. So that was 5 is greater than 0. So the condition is true. So fetch water will be. Now after you are subtracting 1 from 5. So I as 4. 4 is greater than 0. The condition is true. You will print fetch water. Now if you are subtracting 1, you know 3. Then 3 is greater than 0. So the print fetch water will be 1. Now if you are subtracting 1, you have 2. 2 and so semi 0. The condition is true. Fetch water will be printed. Now if you are subtracting 1. 1 is greater than 0. So print fetch water will be 1. Now if you are subtracting, you have 0. 0 is not greater than 0. A false. Now you loop no a stop it. At the end of the day, you say instead of incrementing, we are decrementing. The second way so any first you see while loop. After you first you see 4 loops in computer programming.